And welcome to my channel. So SUNNA SEPETU, who happens to be WEMA SEPETU's big sister, is in big trouble because last week she was convicted for conspiracy to launder fraud proceeds. So if you don't know who WEMA SEPETU is, she's a former Miss Tanzania. I think she got the title in 2006. Comes from a very prominent family. So SUNNA traveled to the US to study. Then I don't know what her settlement status is. So let's just see what the indictment document entailed. Document from the US Attorney's Office. It read, a man and a woman from Worcester, Massachusetts were convicted today by a federal petite jury in Concord for conspiracy to launder wire fraud proceeds after an 8-day trial. US State Attorney Jen E. announced Nafise Kwaye, a 47-year-old, and SUNNA SEPETU, a 37-year-old, both of Worcester, Massachusetts, were convicted of one count of conspiracy to money launder. United States District Court Judge Samantha Elliott scheduled sentencing for both defendants on 8th of July of 2024. This verdict demonstrates the seriousness with which the US Department of Justice takes about frauds committed against vulnerable people through the internet. The defendants knowingly accept millions of dollars in wire fraud proceeds from a vulnerable victim in the US and sent those proceeds overseas to the fraud perpetrator. Prosecuting people in the United States who facilitate the execution of international frauds committed on the internet is essential to frustrating the networks that prey on vulnerable members of our society. So between 2013 and 2019, the defendants received approximately $3.2 million in proceeds from a victim located in Texas. These proceeds was sent to bank accounts established by the defendants for various shell companies. The defendants then sent those proceeds to the perpetrator of the fraud operating in Africa. They didn't even bother to pinpoint which African country. While keeping a portion of the proceeds for themselves, the investigation was led by Homeland Security Investigations within the United States Department of Homeland Security. Assistant U.S. Attorney Charles Rombo is prosecuting the case. There were actually 4 defendants in the case because they were first arraigned in court to be indicted in 2022. Document from 2022 when they were indicted read, SUNNA SEPETU 35 of Nashua, Nafis Kwaye 45, most recently of Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, Stella Osabute 36 of Worcester, Massachusetts, and Samuel Ansah 31, whose whereabouts are currently unknown, were indicted by a federal grand jury and charged with participating in a conspiracy to commit money laundering. So Attorney E. Young announced Ansah was also at large with 5 counts of wire fraud in the indictment. Kwaye and SEPETU were arraigned on Wednesday of May 25th, 2022 and were released on personal recognizance. Osabute waived arraignment and Ansah remains at large. So anyone with information about Ansah's whereabouts is asked to contact their nearest Homeland Security Investigation Field Office or US Embassy or Consulate. The indictment, which was unsealed on May of 25th, 2002, alleges that Ansah and other unknown individuals assumed false identities which were then used to establish relationships online with 2 victims. Through deceptive and false pretenses over many years, Ansah directed the victims to transfer large sums of US currency to companies controlled by the other defendants, who then conducted additional financial transactions designed to conceal the nature, location, source, ownership, and control of the proceeds. According to the statements made in court, the victims in this case were victims of elder fraud. The case was investigated by Homeland Security Investigations. The case is part of Department of Justice Elder Justice Initiative, which supports and coordinates the department's enforcement and programmatic efforts to combat elder abuse, neglect, and financial fraud and scams that target our nation's older adults. The case is being prosecuted by Assistant Attorney Charles Rombo. So you can see that lady who was not arraigned during the indictment must have taken a plea deal. And I'm sure she's the one who snitched about the whole operation. So this goes to show that whenever you commit fraud with people, the person who you think is going to have your back because your co-defendants is going to care about their freedom and forget about you, because I'm sure by snitching she was given a lighter sentence. Maybe she was just given probation because she helped with the investigations. As for this lady, Suna Sepetu, it seems like she just played a minor role, because most of these online frauds are usually committed by guys who pose as lovers, and they tell these elderly, desperate women to wire money to them because they fall in love somehow on the internet, hoping that they'll meet the person and have a romantic relationship. And another thing I've noticed, they used to send the money out of US, so it means the person who orchestrated the whole crime is not even based in the US. So these guys are going to go down for almost 20 years if they get the full sentence. Yet the person who enjoyed most of the money is not even in the US. So if you check Suna's profile, her account is private. So the only thing I can see is her profile picture on her IG. If you look closely, she's carrying a YSL bag. She's wearing she's wearing red bottoms. So it seems like she had taste for designer things. So you being oblivious of where she gets her funds, you'd think she's doing well financially, because it seems like she had a taste for designer things. So that also goes to show that just because somebody has designer gear or live an extravagant life, it doesn't necessarily mean they actually have the income to match their expenditure. So the other thing is, she really comes from a prominent family, like I just said, because her late father was a diplomat and her young sister is very famous. Let's just check her social profile. So you see how she's got a blue tick, obviously, 11.4 million followers. On her bio, she was Miss Tanzania in 2006. She's the official brand ambassador of Hella Bet. She's also an award-winning actress, and she is a beautiful woman, as you can see from her pictures. People say she's transformed her looks, but if you take a close look of a picture she took when she was just a teenager, she was still very beautiful. In fact, I think she was more beautiful before she made the transformations. So I'm sure the family is very embarrassed by all this development, because almost every tabloid covered the news. So I don't know what she's going to get, but if she's obviously going to be sentenced to imprisonment, but I hope it's not going to be a lengthy sentence. And if she's not an American citizen, she can expect to be deported back to Tanzania. Whether she's psychologically prepared for that. But anyway, I think it will be better for her to be deported than to be imprisoned for a very long time, because, like I've said on a previous video, being that she's a foreigner, she's going to have a very rough time in jail. I think she's going to be picked on by even the correction officers. So I wish her well. I hope she embraces God, because that's the only hope she has. So just let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Like and share this video. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.